For today's workout, we're going to be working on spinal segmentation. It's going to be a little bit different than some of the other classes that we do in that most of my talking will be done up front, just kind of on the explanation end, and then I'm gonna just kind of fade into the background and let you concentrate on finding and working your own spinal segmentation. And this spine segmentation is super important to learn and work on, but I will say that it's also a slow process. If you haven't done much spine segmentation work, you may not feel it the way that you want to feel it or might expect to feel it today, but it's more of a motor skill learning process than, getting in and feeling the burn of the workout. And it's super important to learn to segment the spine, meaning kind of each vertebrae moves independently of one another. A lot of times what I'll see is, when asking to move into spine extension or spine flexion, oftentimes the back kind of only moves in one area, one kind of hinge, so to speak, either kind of mid back or low back, and the rest of the back is totally still. And what we want is a more fine-tuned and precise ability to move at each, multiple hinge points, each vertebrae actually all the way up and down the back. And we all know kind of, if something doesn't move at all, if it doesn't move, then guess what? You can't train it, right? You can't train something that doesn't move. If I have an arm that doesn't bend or doesn't move, then I can't really train my arm. So just in the same way, the spine and the areas of the spine that don't move, you can't train those. They start to get stiff. They start to atrophy, all of that. So the more movement, the segments we can restore motion to, the better. With that being said, again, I'll come back and re-emphasize that you may not feel it today, but just in the same way that babies learn to, or toddlers learn to walk, you don't get that fine motor control right away, right? It's a matter of they tried to use their legs and then they fell down. They got up and they didn't activate the way that they wanted to activate their legs, and they fell, and they repeatedly tried and tried and tried and tried again. And then, months later, a year later, they finally developed enough motor control to put the movements together to be able to walk. So in the same way, if you can't feel your spine, or you don't move the one segment and you move the whole spine instead of the one area, that's good. That's your motor learning, and just kind of commit to the process. It's worthwhile because it's important, obviously, to move your spine. We don't want our back to become more stiff, and we also don't want to have any kind of overuse injury, right? If we only move the back in the one spot, then that's the only spot that moves. So you repeatedly use that, and maybe you get kind of some overuse rather than distributing the load to all the different segments over time. So we will be doing some cat-cows. And those of you who have been in the class for a while know that we do the cat-cows a little bit differently. We worked on segmentation of the spine during cat-cows. If you're kind of generally familiar with cat-cows, right, it's from quadruped. You're moving your spine into flexion and then into extension, flexion and extension. And if your back only moves at the one area, right, it's only when I'm doing it, it's not the exercise that we're focused on, because if you're focused on the exercise, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and my back will only move where it's already kind of comfortable moving. If we do it segmentally, we kind of start to train each area of the spine that we want to move. So lower lumbar, right at my pelvis, low back, kind of moving into mid back, upper back, and then finally head comes up, and we work with focus intent of creating that segmental movement in our spine. So we'll start off with kind of a general warm up, making, taking our spine through its current full ranges of motion, flexion, rotation, lateral flexion, extension, all of that. Then we'll do some cat cows just to kind of feel where we're at now, establish kind of this point A where we're at. And then we'll do our exercises, and then we'll revisit that at the end. So starting with our just our spine car. We could do these from standing. You can do them from kneeling. Like me, you could be seated. I always just kind of kneel to fit it to the frame here, but you could be seated in a chair, whatever it may be. But we're going to take our spine through all of its current ranges of motion. So we'll start out wrapping our arms around our body. We'll move into flexion, right? This is just a quick demo. Move into flexion. So rounding my back as much as I can. And the spine car is mostly for your T-spine, right? So that kind of middle back area. C-spine being neck, L-spine, lumbar. So we're just moving our thoracic kind of mid back. So I'm rounding as much as I can here. Using my abs, right? I'm pulling down. Here's where we create our spinal flexion from. So move it into as much flexion as I can. Once I've maxed out that flexion, I'll hold that flexion and move into rotation. So I just start trying to rotate T-spine while holding flexion. And once I've maxed out my rotation, I'm going to give myself a little lateral bend. So I'm just dipping that shoulder. Imagine my spine like a slinky bending over to the side, still holding that rotation, lateral bend. Then I'll start arching into extension, thinking moving up and arching that whole back. And then I'll slowly start rotating while holding that extension, rotating over to the other side. Try to get as much movement through the spine without any other assistance as possible. So don't lean back, just thinking arching spine. Don't lift the elbows, just arch as much as you can through the spine. Rotate over. Once you've maxed out that rotation, we get a lateral bend to the other side. We'll tighten up that rotation as we move into rotation and flexion, middle, and that's half, right? Then we go back the other way, whole thing. So just be mindful of bending all the way forward or leaning back, right? We're just getting that motion through the spine. Think of your spine kind of as a slinky, right? We're just kind of up, bending. We're not tilting that whole thing forward. We're just kind of bending the segments that we want. We'll do three spine cars back and forth. So here we go. Arms wrapped around the body. We're going to move into flexion, round, come forward, get as much flexion as you can, squeeze, feel the tissues that are working and creating that movement, all of kind of your abs right in the front. Hold that flexion, move to rotation. Once you max out your rotation, lateral bend. So you're bending that spine over to the side. And then moving into extension, still holding that rotation, arching to that back corner. Once you max that arch out, hold arch and rotate over to the other side. We're arching and rotating. Once you max out that extension with rotation, lateral bend over and start moving into flexion, still holding rotation, middle, and reversing, holding flexion, rotation, lateral bends, moving into extension with rotation, good extension and rotation with the other side. Now lateral bend, rotation with flexion, middle, and that's one. And we'll come up for air if you want to, and we'll come back down. Hold flexion, rotation, lateral bend. Try to feel those obliques squeezing all of this side stuff, contracting to bring you over to this side. Back side stuff, bringing that arch with that rotation. Start rotating over. Feel your whole back trying to arch. Rotate to the other side. Go lateral bend. Rotation, reflection to that other side. And middle. And reversive flexion with rotation the other way. Lateral bend. Feel all of that side stuff. Arch. Extension. So we're arching all the way to that back. To that other side. Lateral bend. Rotation. Flexion. Middle. And come up for 2. One more time. Flexion coming down. Rotation. Lateral bend. Arch. Rotation and extension. Start rotating. Extension the other way. 1, 2, max that out. Lateral bend. Rotation to flexion. Middle. And other way. Slow and controlled. Segmenting and moving just spine as much as possible. Middle. Take it out. All right. Next, we're going to go into our cat cow and spend about 90 seconds at your own pace. So if you do 5 in the 90 seconds, good. If you do 1 in the 90 seconds, good. Whatever pace you have. But the key is just trying to segment as much as possible. Segment that spine. Move one area at a time. Or if you're having trouble with that, think low back, mid back, upper back. Or if even that's hard, just think kind of try to get low back, upper back. Just as best segmentation as you can. It's may not be smooth. It may be smooth. Just kind of work with that. Remembering what we talked about in the beginning, just learning this this motor skill of segmenting the spine. So to start off in spinal flexion, and as kind of I showed you before, right? You just arching from the bottom and the low back, mid back, upper back, and the neck. And I'm going a little faster for myself than I would want to, and then I'm gonna go from holding my extension, moving to flexion, low back, kind of mid back, upper back, and then finally in my kind of top. All right, so we'll start off in flexion, 90 seconds at your own pace. So don't keep up with me, don't keep up with anybody else, just on yourself. Feel what's working, feel your abs as you're moving into flexion, crunching, feel your low back, feel your whole back kind of working as you move into extension. Ready and begin. It'll just passing the halfway point now. We got last 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and time. Finish this one that you're on. and we will grab our small object. See, I can't remember if I mentioned it in the actual beginning, but we're looking for a small object that can fit under your back where you can feel it touching your back, but it's not big enough to alter the position. So I have a small USB memory stick. You can use one of those small erasers, a small pebble, chapstick, lipstick, anything that's kind of small that you could feel under your back but won't alter your position. And this is the kind of slow, really frustrating, boring part of the work, but it's so it'd be so beneficial for your back health. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this under our back, and we're gonna first focus on low back. So we're gonna do 3 different spots of just flexion, microflexion, and extension on your low back. So kind of right here's mid back. 3 different spots on here. We're gonna go here, 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 anywhere where you feel that you need the work or that you can't feel your back moving. And then we're gonna do 3 spots on the upper back, on the T-spine. So here, higher, higher, so on and so forth. And we're gonna just spend time, we're gonna just spend the time working on feeling and trying to find it again. You may not feel it right away, but if you dedicate yourself to the work, just like a child dedicates and commits to learning to walk that motor skill, you'll learn to move your back. You just got to keep getting up, keep on trying it. So get your object, but it's somewhere on the low back. And all you're going to do is, you won't be able to see it on camera here, but I'm pushing that area where it's touching my low back. I'm sending force into there, trying to create flexion. So if I have a hard time getting that flexion to push into, that might look like this. I'm tucking my hips under, I'm crunching up, squeezing. Oh, and now I can really feel that push. As I get better at that, I can use less of the rest of my body to assist in rounding that area and just round that area. Same thing with extension. It may look like, my whole thing is arching up to get off of it. But as I get better at extending just that area, I can have a smaller area and just arch off of it right there. You might find that, hey, the area you chose on your low back is a good area that moves for you. You will be able to arch off without using everything else. But you'll notice that different spots of your back will respond differently. So start off on your first spot. On your first spot, 90 seconds of just flexion, pushing into that, rounding and pushing into that, and then extending and trying as much as you can just to use that area. Ready and begin. So this is all on you now. I'm going to be quiet and let you focus on the feel. Some halfway. And you got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We'll adjust. You can go 2 to 3 inches up or down. but keeping it in the low back area. Find your spot. And now try again 90 seconds of work, just spending time, putting in the reps, arching and flexing right into that spot. Just remember, the goal is not just getting off of it at any cost, but it's trying to build the fine motor control to only use the segment that you want to use. Build isolation, strengthen isolation now so you could integrate better later. The 30 seconds are about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and time. Last spot on the low back, at least 2 to 3 inches away from any other area that you've worked. So either more up or more down. Find the spot that you haven't worked with that's at least 2 to 3 inches away from that other spot. And begin. See halfway. Last 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and stop. If it's hard to feel, you don't necessarily need the object per se, but I'll give you one variation that might help. If you have your band, this is kind of a thicker band than I would want to use, but you can either go band on the spot that you want and kind of just be right, lock that band in and that arching and pushing into the bands. And if you really want to kind of sit up right on that spot of the bands, right here. So you could try that option if you're really having a hard time feeling it as well. So we're gonna move to upper back. And It may just be that your brain isn't really connected to that area as well, and it's just kind of generally hard to feel it moving and pushing into that spot also. So find the spot on your upper back, and we're just gonna go a minute here instead of the 90, um, and begin. So upper back. You might notice this is really different than kind of the low back. Again, just focus on the feeling. If you don't get it right away, that's okay. If you're using more of a global movement to get off, that's okay too. With the intent of trying to become more focused. And it's going to take time, maybe now you're using from arching all the way from your head to, your pelvis. It may take a month, it may take 2 months, it may take several months. And then, then I'm just using from, right at my collarbone to, my upper pelvis instead of lower, doing the whole thing. And over time, you'll be able to gain more fine motor control of those. It won't be in this workout, or it may not be in this workout. It may not be overnight, it may not be a week, but over time, let's switch. Over time, that'll develop. So find another spot 2 to 3 inches away. And begin. That's halfway. That's 10 seconds. And time, and we'll go last spot on upper back. Find it, take a couple seconds, and begin. And as you're working, feel free to experiment and kind of play with different signals from your brain to your body. Oh, how can I get that area to move? And just keep iterating and changing that learning process, what you need to move with the end goal of isolated movement in that area. But at first, yeah, it's just a matter of experiment. It's feeling what do I need to move to get that to feel, and then start eliminating kind of some of the unnecessary movements to do that. And we'll go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and time. We're going to now move, now that we've kind of practiced a little bit of moving all of the different segments alone, we're going to revisit our spine card, but now with a tension object. So if you have some pillows, if you have your yoga blocks, whatever you may have, what we're going to do is we're going to come out here and we're going to break down each part of the movement and give ourselves a little extra mental cue. And this is specifically for the spine card, not just the micro movements that we were working on. But those micro movements will be beneficial in doing the spine car, but this specifically is for feeling the muscles and the tissues in the spine car. So what we're going to do, we're going to go into our flexion, hold flexion, and imagine that you are being pulled. So you have to hold this position. Imagine that you're being pulled out of the position. So you have to hold this. And then we'll move to flexion with rotation. And imagine that you're being pulled this way. So you have to squeeze harder to hold that lateral bend. So side bend here. You have to squeeze this because you're being pulled this way. So squeeze that harder. And then we'll just move that backside to extension. Imagine that you're being pulled forward, but you have to arch your back muscles to resist that. Boom, into lateral bend on the other side, being pulled forward with that rotation. You're being pulled this way, so squeeze that way. Back to flexion. We'll go back, and then we'll go back the other way. So grab your object, hold tight, squeeze your abs, pull yourself down into that flexion. Imagine that you're being pulled up. So you have to squeeze down. Don't get pulled up. And rotate. Take 2 big breaths. And as you exhale, try to rotate a little bit deeper. Big breath in and exhale. Squeeze that rotation. Squeeze your obliques. Now you imagine that you're being pulled this way, so you have to resist. Squeeze tight. Feel all of those obliques. Tighten, squeeze, and then start your arch all the way up your back segmentally. Rotate into that back extension position. Now you're being pulled forward. You have to arch all of your back muscles to hold yourself back. Squeeze, hold yourself back, hold yourself back. Arch, arch, arch. Rotate over to the other side. Lateral bend. You're being pulled out of that lateral bend. Squeeze down. Don't get pulled out. Squeeze down. Squeeze down. Good. Move into flexion with rotation. We won't do the breaths till we come back the other way. So just hold that rotation. You get it pulled the other way. Squeeze. Don't get twisted. Back to middle. Come up for breath. And again, squeeze, round down. Now we're going to go the other way. So squeeze, round down. Get pulled up. Resist. Hold. Spit, squeeze. Rotate. 2 big breaths. On the exhale, squeeze out a little bit more like you're wringing yourself out like a towel. Big breath in. On the exhale, wring out a little bit more. Good. Hold that. Squeeze, twist like you're being twisted back. Good. Lateral bend. Squeeze your obliques. Hold. You're getting pulled up. Hold down. Hold yourself there. Squeeze obliques. Good. Arch back with that rotation. Unwind it. Just get to that middle. Squeeze. Hold. You're being pulled forward. Arch your back. Hard squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Don't get pulled forward. Good. Rotate over. Lateral bend. Squeeze that side. You're getting pulled over. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Keep building more rotation as you move into flexion. Squeeze, hold. Don't get twisted. The other way. Squeeze. Hold yourself in that position. Middle. And we'll round it up. All right. We're going to, we'll go, let's see. We're going to go cat-cow one more time. 90 seconds of work. Now we're going to revisit. Remember how you felt on those first cat-cows. See if anything feels a little bit better, a little bit different. Again, we'll go 90 seconds at your own pace of your own work, and then we'll go spine puzzle. All right, so calf-cowed segmental will start in flexion, bottom to top, into extension, and then into flexion, bottom to top. Ready? At your own pace and begin. Here we're just really working on that segmentation. Think about all the segmental work that you just did, that 10 minutes of segmental work you did on your back. And try to get each of those areas where you had your object, each little area into an arch, each little area into flexion. We've got 30 seconds to go. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Finish this one that you're on. And we'll move one more time into a couple spine cars, just like we started out. Comes across your body. Move into flexion. Flexion with rotation. About a lateral bend. Arch with that rotation. Rotate while holding that arch to the other side. Lateral bend. Flexion with rotation. Middle and reverse. Good. Flexion. Flexion with rotation. Lateral bend. Extension. Extension, rotating over to the other side. Lateral bend. Flexion and rotation. Middle and reverse. Good. And last one. And time. Nice job, everybody.